Alright, so today we will be doing another summary video, and the summary that we are doing today is Psalm 7. In the last video we did Psalm 6, so today we are going to be doing Psalm 7. So as we know, summary and LAPC, life application per chapter. So let's get right into it. Psalm 7 outlines. So, David's plea for divine vindication in the light of the oppressor's allegations and actions. So, vindication means the fact or proving that what someone said or did was right or true after other people thought it was wrong. Psalm 7 is termed as Shigayon, though rendered as meditation in the New King James Version, the plural form of Shigionoth. Shigionoth. Or, Shigionoth. So Shigayon means to wonder. The word denotes a lyrical poem composed under strong mental emotion. Yet we aren't too sure of the exact meaning of the word, but that is what it is rendered to be. It might refer to the musical shifts in the psalm, wavering in tempo and mindset. In the titling of the psalm, also, it says he sang. So this shows that Psalm 7 is a vocal solo as well. So let's get into David's plea to God for divine vindication. So from reading this psalm, we see that David begins with a plea to the Lord about the ones who are persecuting or pursuing his life. And as we know that David, as said in the previous summary of Psalm 6, is at constant battles with his enemies. He was one on the run from King Saul, often in his younger years. We find that in the story in Samuel. Um, we know that David was on the run constantly because King Saul got angry at him ever since the killing of Goliath. And it's an interesting read in Samuel that we could go for. All right. So in this psalm, David is asking God for a fair judgment on himself to the point of saying, if he is wrong in accusing anyone, let those who pursue him overtake him. David welcomed God's righteous actions in this case. He knew that God saw the actions of him as a person, someone who tried to live in a godlike manner and lifestyle. Psalm 7, 3 to 5 shows how sincere David was in his innocence toward whatever the accusations might have been, asking God to be very heavy with his actions toward him. God is a just God. After the plea, cried out by David to God, verses 6 to 11 shows a shift in utterance where David now calls to the divine judgment of God towards the wicked and evildoers. We know that God is a just judge and he sees the schemes of evil. David here affirms that in verse 11 by saying, God is a just judge, and that he is. Wickedness does not sit well in the eyes of the Lord, and he knows the oppressions and persecutions of his people. He will repay the wicked for wickedness if they do not turn back. David in this psalm asks God in verse 9 to let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just. Throughout David's trouble, the Lord never forsook him. Though many false accusations and troubles were upon David, he remained in righteousness to the Lord. Therefore, God delivered many evildoers and foes into his hands. Exact retribution. In verses 14 to 17, we see that the principle of exact retribution has surfaced as one writer says or states. The wicked being and will be paid back for the wickedness, as it says. His trouble shall return upon his head. Often what we reap is what we sow. If wickedness is sown, then it shall return unto that same person or us if we turn to go that way, as David confidently states in the closing verses of this song. One who endeavors calamity shall not prosper, as the Lord fixes on the evil deeds to bring upon retribution if not repented of. As David was basically saying that God does not sleep. He's basically making that statement. And then we get down to the life application per chapter. So now we ourselves may feel like this. At times we may be often accused of things that might not be done, that we might not have done, or be pursued by evil intents. Yet we can count on God to be a righteous judge, to show forth our innocence of that particular situation. It's also good that we ask God if we have any fault in a certain something, that His will be done. And knowing that if our innocence is just in His eyes, then He will make provisions to see us, to show our innocence forth from that. He wants to respond with much surrender, dependence, and patience. He wants us to respond that way.